we're going to transition to our panel discussion, and I'm going to hand over the floor to my colleague to introduce our other panelists. Joanna Thum, Program Manager of Student Engagement at Vector, is going to take it from here. Thanks so much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that presentation, Calvin. So I would like to re-welcome back our panel. So maybe, Calvin, if you just stop sharing your screen and we can share the slide with all the panelists. But Angelina and Calvin will be joining us back for our panel, as well as Gary Huang, who is the machine learning scientist at Layer 6 AI. He is a Vector Scholarship in AI recipient, and he studied aerospace engineering in both his undergraduate program at University of Toronto and his graduate program at Stanford University. So after graduation, he actually worked as an advanced process control engineer for about 5 years. But in 2018, he decided to switch tracks and was accepted to the Master of Applied Computing program at U of T. And as part of that program, he interned at Layer 6 and was able to get an offer for full-time. So he is still there now as a machine learning scientist and works on research projects mainly in natural language processing, but also in use cases that contribute to business values. So I'd like to welcome Gary to the panel. In addition to that, Shayani will also be joining us as our panel today. So she is a data analyst in a planning and analytics department at Loblaw. She's a computer science graduate and has done her master's in business analytics from the Schulich School of Business, which is also a Vector recognized master's program in the complementary domain. Formerly, she's worked as a software engineer in India, Singapore, and Dubai, and her love for both technology and data has found the perfect match in her current role. So welcome to all our panelists. If you could all turn your mics and video on.
Hey guys.
Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
And if you could turn the slide off, maybe. Awesome. So to get us started, all of you come from very diverse educational backgrounds and have master's degrees in very different domains. So I guess if we could start maybe with Sayani and Gary, could you talk a little bit about your previous education, including your most recent master's degree, and how it has kind of helped you prepare for a career in AI?
Ladies first.
Okay. So my undergraduate degree is in computer science and engineering from India, and after which I worked as a software developer for a few years. So in one of those roles, I got a taste of how data could help drive crucial decisions in the company I worked for. And that is when I kind of took a keen interest in data and decided that I wanted to venture into data analytics more. That brought me to the Master of Business Analytics program in Schulich in order to gain formal education in analytics. So I guess what I got from there was firstly an opportunity to learn the different aspects of data science, work with tools like SAS, Tableau, which I probably wouldn't have got access to otherwise. Interaction with smart, like-minded individuals in terms of group projects, assignment, a lot of brainstorming, a very strong alumni network who were ready to provide any advice whenever we needed that. Interaction with industry experts and the chance to attend different conferences through our school. So I think all of these together helped me to really smoothly translate from a career of pure development into analytics. And I'm still in the learning process, but the course at Schulich really helped me a lot.
Gary?
So for my part, as Joanna said, I did my both undergrad and graduate degrees in engineering, and I did a master's in applied science, MSCAC in U of T, which had a lot of different courses in the field of data science. I had a lot of exploration, and that program had an internship program, and which did great for me. But I guess one thing is that while I no longer work in the field of engineering, what it taught me, which is basically doing first principle based reasoning, is always helpful in almost, well, not only computer science, but in almost every discipline I can think of.
Great. So thank you for sharing that. And I guess I'll direct these two questions at Angeline and Calvin. Thinking back to your transition from school to industry Angelina, you've kind of talked about this a little bit on in your presentation, and we can expand a little bit. Are there skills that you found yourself using more than you expected in your day-to-day work? Or maybe are there skills that you expected would be used more frequently, but you haven't?
So for me, as I mentioned in my presentation really briefly, I had to design a UI wireframe. I came from a computer science background, bachelor and master's, so that was really new to me. And also I have to design with end users in mind, which is very strange. So yeah, so that was new to me. And I also expected to code a lot and read papers, and I did code a lot and read papers. So that's great.
And Calvin?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the sort of co-design skills, which, you know, isn't like I guess it's not necessarily something that's considered, you know, like specific to AI, but that's certainly something that I felt is really important because, you know, if you see it as a collaborative effort, you need to engage with the right people. So the whole sort of stakeholder management, co-design aspect has been really important. I think communication too, because with any emergent field, people don't really understand it, right? So, so the goal is always to be able to communicate it in a very simple way, and to be able to illustrate benefits in a way that's not just relying on the buzzwords, but really illustrating, you know, what is the impact on the end user. And you know, especially in government, you know, briefings are always important. So being able to communicate complex ideas very simply, I would say is a skill. Surprisingly, I would say that in my role, at least, the technical skills have been important for context, but I haven't actually, like, no one has ever asked me, like, you know, what kind of like what kind of techniques would you recommend? I think, like, for that, we would always, you know, I would defer that to our technical colleagues, but I think that the appreciation of sort of collaboration and synergy, knowing the right people to engage, is a really important skill, no matter where you are or which field you're in.
Great, thanks for sharing. So I will ask this to everyone here, as we've all kind of been impacted by this. But maybe we'll start with Sayedi and Gary first again. But how has your organization or work been impacted because of COVID-19? Are there any changes or new initiatives have resulted because of the recent pandemic?
Okay, so I'll go first again. So yeah, it's been an extremely busy, being in a retail industry. It was very active, probably much more active during this time than usual is. So we kind of needed to change strategies, algorithms to address the change in trend and trajectories. So we had to devote a lot of time in that. I wouldn't say that there were any new projects as such, but I mean, other than the ones which are in business unusual, but the way in which we handle existing project has definitely changed. With respect to work, it took a bit of adjustment to get into the new routine where you just go and run off to your colleague's cubicle and ask her some questions. Everything has to be done via phone or video meetings. But I guess now, once it's settled down, it's much easier for all of us and no major difficulties.
Gary?
So on the side of layer 6, the entire company has been working from home since early March. So this does give us a bit of trouble because, well, in a way, we actually thrive with collaboration. And when you're communicating math over webcam is always not the easiest thing to do. On the project side, the layer 6 has been working with the medical community on public health related researchers for a long time already. And we have accumulated knowledge and experience in the field of machine learning for health. So we have been actively participating in several different COVID-19 related projects. Some examples include the COVID-19 mutation project, where we collaborate with epidemiologists at Mount Sinai Hospital. There's the COVID-19 Kaggle Challenge, where we do data extraction on the open research data set of COVID-19. This is a collaboration with the Vector Institute. There's also one that's another collaboration with Vector, that is the COVID-19 economic impact, where we actually are helping the Ontario government by predicting who should go back to work and when. So as you can see, we're actually working on multiple different projects on many different fields like healthcare, data extraction, economics, actually. So.
Nice, thank you for sharing. Angeline and Calvin, do you have anything to add to those?
I think similar to Sayani and Gary, everyone has to work from home since early March. And also our portfolio companies are greatly impacted. And since Georgia Partners work with the portfolio companies, we are 100% focused on helping the companies to adapt to COVID-19. And we also have this online community for our portfolio companies. So that online community became very lively. People are very engaged, holding webinars, having a lot of discussions, how to deal with working from home. And we also started a new initiative to support organization in the local community that got impacted by COVID. And also so that we can combat racism and inequality in our community. So each month, actually, the staff nominates organization to receive, which organization should receive a donation from Georgian.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would just echo those thoughts. I think it's changed both the work that we do and the way which we work. So in terms of the way that we work, like obviously, we're all working remotely now. And I think, this is quite new for government. So I think that, a lot of organizations are, and my organization in particular is really it's really stretching their ability to work on an agile basis and to embrace a lot of, I guess, quote unquote, digital transformation within the company. On the other hand, I think it sort of brought attention to a lot of, sort of longstanding issues and sort of new approaches to trying to solve those problems. And one example being the health data platform, which I talked about.
Great, thanks for sharing. At this time, if attendees, you have any questions, please start to submit them in the Q&A and we'll try and get to some of them. But for now, I'm going to ask one more question specifically to Angeline and Gary. I understand you have the opportunity to do curiosity-based research within your current roles. Could you kind of describe what that's like at your organization, in terms of reading groups, time for research, publishing, that kind of thing? I'm sure many students are curious.
Yeah, so for every project in my company, we always start with literature review of the current state of the art. But my team also has internal paper clubs, and we actually have a public one monthly where other machine learning users can join. And we publish and go to major machine learning conferences like ICML, NeurIPS, iClear. And there's a policy for full-timers to take a few days off to study or investigate anything they want, and sometimes even use it in their work.
Gary. Oh, Gary, you're muted.
Okay, so on the layer 6 side, we're actually having a very flexible and dynamic environment. The way layer 6 is structured is that machine learning scientists are assigned to different teams, but they're not limited to do projects only within the field of that group. Inter-team collaboration exists and is actually encouraged to happen. We also have reading clubs, reading groups in many different fields, including computer vision, natural language processing, explainability and causal inference, reinforcement learning, and there's also algorithmic trading, which is not a big field, but it's important for TD, I guess. So in those clubs, we present a paper, a recent or classic, every week, followed by discussions. And some ideas originated from these discussions could evolve toward paper topics. I actually know at least one example of that, I think. So other than these reading groups, we also have lunch talks every Wednesday and Thursday. Wednesday we'll do a paper talk, and Thursday we'll do more of an applied research talk about use case results or research results by our colleagues. And that happens every week so that you always have the chance to touch what you're not familiar with and explore your interest.
Great, thanks for sharing. This one I will open up to everyone. So in thinking about your organization and the broader sector in which you work, because we have health, we have financial services, we have retail, what are some of the couple challenges or opportunities in adoption that you're seeing? Maybe Sayani can go first.
Okay, I'll do that. So the opportunities are immense, especially in an industry like ours, where there are like tons of data that is there to deal with. I think the biggest challenge is the perception of AI. I mean, many people view it as some kind of a robot that is going to come in and eliminate human capability, but which is not true. Like AI is targeted at making jobs easier for humans, not to replace them. Especially in an industry like retail, which is very archaic and which has been around for a very long time, things have functioned in a particular way. Shift away from the traditional way to a more data-driven or technology-driven way is often met with a lot of hindrance and doubt. So to bring about that acceptance and trust is the greatest challenge for widespread use. So human expertise and experience are still a very crucial part, and I feel the best result can be achieved by a blend of both AI and human resources. So that is the biggest challenge in an industry as big as ours, I think.
Does anyone else have any thoughts like to share on the topic?
I guess I can add a bit more to it. I think Calvin said in his presentation that in the field of public health, data security and privacy is a big concern. And since Layer 6 is part of TD Bank Group, in the financial sector, that is obviously also a concern. So I would say that in our field, one of the main challenges is the production side, or more specifically, the lack of framework to deploy what you see every day in the news, like flashy new models, to the actual production models. Layer 6 has been working a lot on that field and has pushed a lot of work to facilitate such deployment. But obviously, there's more work to be done.
Great, thanks for sharing, Gary. So I'm going to take one question from the audience, which is to everyone. If anyone has a particular strong interest in answering, feel free. Have your career interests changed after having your industry experience in AI? And are you planning to continue your studies with a PhD program or continue to work in industry? Maybe Angeline, we'll start with you.
So I always wanted to work in applied machine learning. So I don't think that has changed. I'm not sure about PhD yet. I actually really like working at Georgian right now because I get to also get updated with the current research, but also get to see my models being deployed. So that's been very rewarding. Maybe in the future, we'll see.
Sayani?
Oh, well, I've just like completed my studies and got into the industry. So I plan to stay here for a longer time before I decide to probably do something else or not. But right now I'm pretty happy with like whatever I had envisioned coming into this course. I'm getting to do that kind of work, perfect blend of like coding, data wrangling. So I'm quite happy with what I'm doing right now. Yeah.
Great. And I guess Calvin and Gary, you both come from more applied programs rather than research-based programs. So what are your thoughts on what's next for you?
I guess I'll start first. Like I said, my background was in engineering, but so far I've been actually enjoying my experience in Layer 6 a lot. And part of the reason I think it's unique to Layer 6 is that it allows both very theoretical work as well as a very applied work that contributes to an actual model. I mean, I've only spent slightly more than a year in Layer 6, but I'm loving it. And well, for the short time coming, I guess I'm not planning to do a PhD, but that I have to say that did indeed cross my mind, just because I did really enjoy my internship has been pure research, no applied work whatsoever, and I actually enjoyed that a lot. I mean, in a way, that was kind of similar, or in my understanding, was kind of similar to how a PhD will work. So I will definitely see how it goes, and we'll choose from there, I guess.
Yeah, I think because of my background in health, I think that, you know, graduating and working in the field has really made me realize the need for there to be a new type of hybrid professional between that can connect, AI and other emerging technologies crystallized within the domain. So I think that moving forward, my next steps would be to continue to develop greater depth in the knowledge that I have, and also to expand a bit broader and understand how to bring those solutions into practice. And I think that, it can involve AI, and at times it may not. And I think that, to be a professional is understanding, where the use cases, will be, and not saying that, not understanding, where AI is helpful, and where other methods may also be helpful. And also applying that business expertise and strategic lens to be able to evaluate the use of any technology, and then assimilating that technology into practice.
Great, thanks for sharing. I think that's all the time we have for now for questions. Feel free to continue asking your questions, or if you've asked your questions, we'll see if we can respond to them outside of this time if you've left your name and email. But I would like to thank all our panelists for joining us today and for sharing all their insights. I know everyone's really busy right now and could be eating lunch or doing something else much more fun. So thank you so much for joining us. I'd like to announce our upcoming event on July 14th, which will be focused on project talks in industry. And so far, we will have ClearPath Robotics, a really interesting and fun domain, sharing about their projects with us. We're at the organization. So July 14th at 12 p.m., save the date, and we hope to see you there. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you attendees for joining us as well.